Everybody, we are back with another one. Today, joined with Adam Fern, co-founder at Proof of Play. Has a very interesting history. One of the founding team members at Cash App. I'm sure everybody's heard of Cash App at this point. If you haven't, get your head out of the
Go to the
sand.
app. Go to the
Whatever
app
rock
store. What are
you're
you
under,
doing? Yeah, what are you doing?
that's not
Venmo,
acceptable.
Venmo is very, 2014. It's time to update.
It's time to update. Exactly. We're gonna talk a ton about Web3 gaming today. I also hope that we get into the food and pizza as we talked about before we went live. But Adam, so glad to have you here today. Welcome. I think best way to start is just a little bit about yourself, how you got here today, and what gets you amped up about Web3 gaming.
I mean, my journey into crypto has been, I think logical if you look at it like holistically, but how I got into this specific industry and gaming kind of like roundabout because if you look at my LinkedIn, I don't have a gaming background. I don't identify as a gamer. I didn't own a system between like an N64 and a Nintendo Switch. So kind of, atypical for me to be, leading a business like this. But I've been in fintech for most of my career, and what I started to see when a crypto buddy showed me, it's like BNB staking and on-chain moving money. I was like, oh wow, this is incredible! Like this is a real new technology that has the ability to disrupt this industry that I was trying to disrupt. Right, I was a disruptor of the industry working at Square and Better. Like we're trying to make everything just move faster and more efficient. And this is like a step beyond that, right? It like just breaks through the institutions versus like trying to mold the institutions to your will. And I was like, I need to get into the space. This is the future. Like this was before AI was the future. Like blockchain was the future, like 2020.
It's still the future.
It's still the future. Well, people don't like to talk about it as much anymore. It's now just, all my friends who are frontier chasing technology people are all in AI. They've either fled blockchain or, they never got into it to begin with. But either way, I still believe in the promise of what we're building here. And when I met Amit, it was initially supposed to be a social introduction. But when he told me what he was building, I got so excited. And like our 30-minute meeting ended up being like a 4-hour walk around New York City. And he said, hey, would you be interested in like working on this? I was like, I don't know. I'm not a gamer. Like, I don't know anything about games. He's like, come meet the team, come meet the people that I've assembled. And, I went through an interview process with them. I had to do build a new Wolf game feature from scratch. So this was like peak Wolf game popularity. And I was obsessed at that time, very much inspired by it. And I built a feature and they're like, okay, you're in. And that's how I joined. And that was like 3 years ago now, March 2021.
Wow.
Crazy.
And Amit has a very interesting background as well. Farmville can't go without mentioning here. He's one of the co-founder or one of the founding team members of Farmville.
Yeah, co-founder. His technology, his company was acquired by Zynga, and then that technology ended up being the technology that underlies Farmville, as well as all the other Ville games at Zynga. And so he's been building engines. Like he's like obsessed with building engines and tools for other developers. That's one of the things that we're doing at Proof of Play, which I think a lot of people don't quite realize. People think we're just Pirate Nation, or they think Proof of Play is this other thing. Like they don't understand what we are in totality. And I think that's our fault in not doing a good job explaining it. And I'm excited to like get out there and try to help people see the bigger vision of what we're building and why I'm excited about it.
At first look, originally I saw Proof of Play and I was like, oh, it's a game studio. And if you start digging a little bit deeper, then I was like, well, okay, is this infrastructure? Are they building infrastructure, or are they just like a studio partner? I think after doing my research a little bit deeper, yes, like you guys are building out infra. You're trying to be a backbone engine for a lot of what people are building. I didn't even know that you guys were working with On-Chain Heroes, which, again, read people's websites. You'll learn a lot. You guys are doing their VRF.
You know what the problem is, Hunter? We have not made it simple for people to understand like what we are or why they should be bullish about us. And people don't read. We know this. You read, right? You did your prep. Like you want to come prepared and like, ask me good questions. Most people want to be spoon-fed information, and we haven't been spoon feeding them. So we're going to go into spoon feed mode everyone is gonna like they're gonna get sick of hearing about proof of play and like why they should be excited about us. And so that's, we're gonna be shifting to that mode here soon.
It's hard. I'm like, even if you're spoon feeding, we're in an industry where people want things like presented in an interesting way. Their attention span's very short. Um, Gaming, I would even say, is like it's not like the hot meta right now where you don't have everybody like
Hasn't
clamoring
been
to be
for a
like,
while.
I can see it coming back. I'm curious where you see that like inflection moment happening. Like, what needs to happen for like gaming to get super hot again?
So I think the problem is people think that what's happening on Twitter is reality. And that's just like not the case, right? Twitter is a reality, but it is not the base reality. Like the base reality is like, let's just take Pirate Nation, for example. If you were to open up Twitter right now, you wouldn't see that much about Pirate Nation. Like you see a bunch of other things, like Abstract is really hot. A lot of the games in Abstract are getting a lot of attention. And like realistically, like they are, they're building real games, that people are enjoying them, they're growing, all that kind of good stuff. People aren't talking about Pirate Nation. It's fine. Guess what? Pirate Nation is profitable. It's making money. Like it makes more money than like it costs us to run it. Do people talk about that? Do people care about that? Do people know about that? No, right? Like our engagement metrics are at all-time high, not DAU, but engagement, like in terms of like people who are playing, they're really, really playing. If you go into our Discord, people are talking about the game itself. They're not talking about the token price. They're not talking about the founders parts. Yes, they're talking about those things as well, but it's getting drowned out by the gameplay. That's another, like Discord is another reality. Like private group chats are another reality. Like, there's all these different realities, but the base reality is the game is making money. And ultimately, at the end of the day, a business's purpose is to like make revenue. The more revenue,
shocking
right?
for a lot of crypto people to hear that.
And like, people can take pot shots at Web3 gaming. They can take pot shots at us, at Proof of Play, Pirate Nation. But ultimately, like we're achieving our goal of like building a sustainable business. And that is like step one towards the stuff that the people on Twitter and Discord care about, right?
Right.
You can't subsist on smoke and mirrors alone. Like shady backdoor deals and, KOL rounds and like whatever the stuff that I don't necessarily want to talk about here that I know about, like that those are like snacks, right? It's not a meal. And you can't build a business off of those things. Like we are trying to build a business. We're not trying to build like a small thing that makes like $2-3 million. We're like a team of 5 anonymous devs that like $5 million for an anonymous dev team. Amazing. We're a VC backed company. We have to take much bigger bets, right? If we don't become a multi-billion-dollar company, like we will be considered a failure by, like our investors, by ourselves. Like we're like trying to hit a moonshot. And so like we can't take small bets. We are not thinking in like small increments. And so crypto Twitter is a fraction of the world. Let's say every single person on crypto Twitter is a player of our game. We would be a failed game by Web2 standards. If we got 100%, right, we are thinking way beyond this one audience. We care deeply about this audience and we want them to engage with the Web2 audience as well. But it isn't just about the space. It's beyond that.
It's so the way we started this topic was obviously the engagement on socials might not be large, but the on-chain engagement, the activity there is very high. It's funny because I noticed that you guys clearly seem to have a lot happening because I looked at the marketplace, I was looking through where like is this just like a lack of, again, incentive to like people just aren't tweeting, but there's still stuff happening. Just you need to get eyes onto like what's happening on chain.
Yeah, I think people like to be like right in public, and like that's the thing that people want to do. And they're right for different reasons. Like they're right because they're early and they spotted a gem, or they're right because they have like insider information, or they're right because they're telling all their other friends, hey, we're going to all be right together. And like, we're going to make this thing happen. Right. And you see, all of a sudden something goes from 0 to 100 and you're like, wait, what happened? Right. It's coordinated and not in like a nefarious way. It's just like people find stuff together and they want to share it together and they want to win together in public. And then you parlay that one win into another win. So all to say, like, I'm very bullish on what we're building, despite, our awareness problem, which I acknowledge is a problem. But coming and doing a show like this is helpful, right? Like
Right.
tweeting more is helpful, but if that stuff doesn't move the business metrics that matter, then it's ultimately not really that valuable, right?
Right.
Like we're trying to pay our salaries, we're trying to like return capital to VCs, we're trying to make our community happy, like continually building out the game. We're trying to make the assets in the ecosystem valuable because other people believe they're valuable because the game is fun and they want to play and they want to bring their friends in, and you know, like all this stuff compounds. But it's really important to focus on the things that matter and not chase the things that other people think matter, but in fact are just distractions.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you guys raised a ton of money. You raised like $33 million. You can't be getting distracted. You have to be returning. You what I in the whole realm of like, hey, winning, getting to the moonshot phase matters. How are you guys approaching like building infra, balancing like open sourcing, being good, like getting integrated into everything? Like what's like the plan for setting the foundation to then be like, hey, we're integrating into everything?
So the initial thesis for the company was build infrastructure and build tooling to allow other people to build on chain faster. So if you go to our website or like tagline, you know, proofofplay.com, it says like build on chain 100 times faster, something like that. That's the thesis of the company. The how to get there was the game. And so Pirate Nation scaled at our peak. We're about 180,000 weekly actives. That was like peak.
Oh
As
wow.
far as I know, no other fully on-chain game has come even remotely close to that. You know, Pixels and Axie had more users, but they're not on-chain. You know, they're different games. Like we were building like a hard technology company out of Pirate Nation. And so as we scaled to that level, no one had ever hit that level. We were doing something like 75 megagas, which it doesn't matter what that means. It just means like the amount of transactions and compute you're putting on chain. And what does that mean? We broke the chain. We just straight up broke it. And so we had to figure out we couldn't fix the chain because there's upper bound limitations to how much you can vertically scale. We had to build technology to make it better. So we built this thing called a multi-chain. We have multiple chains that are able to work in tandem with each other without sharding the user base. So they share game state as if they're on one chain. We built a number of other pieces of technology to support because there was nothing else in the market that could keep up with us. And it wasn't like, oh, just like turn on another AWS server, just like pay a little bit more to Alchemy, pay a little bit more to AWS, or pay more to some other vendor. Like we had to innovate and we had to build. And that was always the plan. It was use the game as a factory for technology. And we didn't necessarily know which pieces of tech we would build. Our preference was not to build some of the stuff that we built, but what we found is that some of the vendors were unreliable, or they couldn't keep up with us, or they're just unprofessional. They like don't know how to run a services business. Like they didn't understand that them going down meant that went down, us going down was unacceptable to us.
Right.
So when we built our services, we hardened them. We have fully on-call schedules. When like something goes wrong, people get woken up in the middle of the night. They get paged. You know, like we have a real business that runs like a large-scale tech company would expect. And so when we bring on customers to use the products that we build for us and now are building for them, you know, they know that the same infrastructure that supports Pirate Nation is supporting them. The same level of care and rigor and respect that we put into the tools for ourselves, like we put in for them. And so they know that they're working with a team that is going to wake up in the middle of the night if something goes wrong, because we don't want them to go down. Like we know we work in a global industry, and it's really important. Like uptime, reliability, all those things are key. Those are normal things in Web 2 world. Like you talk about nines, like the number of nines, like 90, your uptime is like 99 point and like how many nines, right?
Right.
So you say like 5 nines, 4 nines, 3 nines. Some of the vendors that we were working with, they didn't even come close to, there were no nines. They were like 90% up or 92.
That doesn't work.
It's unreasonable. And so we set a commitment to our customers that we are going to support you as we're building alongside you. And we've been able to work with some amazing teams, thankfully, because they see that, you know, we care deeply, like we want to support them, and they don't want to take chances on working with someone that doesn't value them. The last piece I'll say is we're like still a scrappy young startup, despite raising a bunch of money and despite being 3 years old. Like we haven't succeeded yet. And so we want it more than anyone else. Like we're going to work harder. We're going to work smarter to win their business and to keep their business.
Right. Well, you have to, and obviously that trust metric is like one that I can't emphasize enough. Like nobody's going to use you if they can't be like, yes, you're not going to be like the Achilles heel of yeah, like we've put all this money and time into building this. We need you not to like be the fuck up. And that matters a ton. I can't explain that enough as somebody who's a builder. I'm curious from your eyes, right? Like you're doing on-chain gaming. We're at a moment where I think there's a lot of not maybe not confusion, but I think there's two different parties. There's some parties that say, like, "Hey, the future is everything is on chain." We've seen some stuff come out with like Chunks, which is like a Minecraft clone that was like fully on chain. That is something out of Somnia, which is a new L1, and then we have some that are like, "Hey, like the future is like some stuff's on chain, just assets." Like, what is the future? Is it a middle ground or is it like fully? Where do you see it going?
So we started out as like on-chain maxis as a way to really push this technology to its limits. When we started, the stuff that we're doing now would not have been considered possible, and technically it wasn't possible because we had to build solutions to make it possible. Where we're at right now is realistically having 100% of the game on chain, probably unnecessary if we're being frank. People don't really care about it. It was important for our business to push as hard as possible in the technology to figure out how we can innovate to make it easier for other people to build games or different applications on chain. But keeping 100% of it on the chain, probably not necessary. Probably the best things to keep on chain are the assets. So anything like NFTs that are owned, anything that you might want to introduce trading into. Like if there's a soulbound asset, there's kind of no reason to put it on chain. Like why? Like if you can't trade it, just like make it a database.
Right.
The game logic, there's value in it being on chain. I'll tell like an old story at this point, which is we had a competition like a while back and people thought that there was like a couple players who were cheating and they were like pitchforks out, pissed, these people are cheating. And we're like, look at the chain. Like we built a dashboard in Dune that allowed them to take a look at all the actions on chain. It's not like there's no hiding. It was like either there or it wasn't. And they saw the RNG. Funny enough, it was a randomness based competition. They saw that the randomness ended up they outperformed. They just got lucky. They weren't cheating. And if you have the game logic on chain, you can point people to this and say like, hey, look here. Like all the apps that we're supporting now on Abstract, a lot of them are gambling adjacent or just straight gambling. And if you're putting money into an app, you're like betting $100 on a coin flip. You want to know that the house is not screwing you over. And so I think there's a real value in the service that we're offering, which is like verified randomness, that the person putting money in knows they may lose, but at least they're going to lose fairly. They're not going to lose because the house is rigged against them. And I think that is the key takeaway. So some things you probably want random, like some things you probably want to be on chain, other things you don't. I think it's very much a case by case basis, but I don't think we believe as a company any longer that it's like 100% or zero. We are not quite at the 2.5 stage of like, oh, like maybe something's not like, we do believe there's value in it because you introduce like a whole new element to the game, which is this like trading concept. And that I think is really, really exciting and interesting.
Does abstracting away the fact that things are on chain, is that something that I think a lot of gaming companies might be forgetting is like important to like bring on the next wave of like gamers and users into like these games?
I don't actually think that these features on their own are going to bring in a new audience. So whereas I used to believe it's possible, I think like Axie kind of showed that like this play to earn meta where like you can play, a salary. Maybe that can come back in a meaningful way. I'm not necessarily convinced that we'll see that kind of run again. Like I'm open to being wrong. I think what's more likely to be the case is either us or another team build a really great game, just like a game that people want to play because it's fun on its own. and it has this feature in it, which is a benefit that isn't available in other games. So like Fortnite, if someone could build a game as fun as Fortnite, I kind of think this is kind of what Off the Grid is doing theoretically, right? You're building a game that people believe is as good as Fortnite, that they want to play. And guess what? The skin that you bought, it isn't owned by Epic Games, it's owned by you. You bought a rare skin 3 years ago in a limited edition drop. You can now monetize it. You can sell that one thing without selling your whole account, without risking being banned. I think that to me seems like a good thing.
I think that has to be the first thing, like that we like assets being able to be traded. We've seen this with Fortnite with like the John Wick skin. People are selling accounts just to like sell skins because there's people want it. Limited supply.
I mean, I love John Wick. I understand completely. It's like
I get it.
I get it. Who's selling a John Wick skin account? Because I'll buy it. I don't even play Fortnite, but I'll buy it just for the skin.
No, but I agree. I think that is a great example of like the mechanisms are there, and that is like just a small additional feature, but that's what like hooks people into like a game that they liked, turns it into, okay, well, all the functionality behind the scenes is on chain. They don't have to know it though.
Correct. I think there was this concept when I got on board into crypto, people talked a lot about the DeFi mullet.
The DeFi mullet. I have not heard that before.
It's like,
oh, okay, yeah.
TradFi in the front, party in the back.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's a similar idea here, right? It's like game in the front and then on chain in the background as a means to enable a behavior that isn't necessarily like permissioned today.
Right. Well, I would like to see some more DeFi mullets, some more Web3 gaming mullets. Bring back the mullet. We need it. I'm on the kind of like topic of like the infra on the back that, again, the party happening. Pirate Nation is on Arbitrum. We've talked a ton about like multi-chain. I think we're in the middle of like a high TPS gold rush where every single day I see a new L1 or L3 or L2, whatever layer we're on, coming out saying, hey, we're going to change. All the games are going to come build here. We can do 1 million. We can do 100,000. We're aiming for 100 billion transactions per second by 2030. How much does the chain matter for in gaming? And just being able to switch between chains matter? I just one that like as someone who's from the outside looking in, I'm curious from somebody building what your take is.
So I'll answer this question from two different perspectives. I'll answer from the Pirate Nation like game studio side, and then I'll answer from the proof of play side. Oh, someone's going to sell me their John Wick skin. Okay, I need to get a Fortnite account first, and then I'll buy the account. On the Pirate Nation side, our game requires a very low latency chain. It's fast moving. It requires a bunch of actions in a short period of time. There's a lot of loot tables in it. There's a lot of randomness in it. And if you're working on a chain that's like 3-4 seconds block time, we'll slow the game down and won't feel that good. Like we were on a chain like that. It was Polygon. And waiting 4 seconds for a loot box to open every single time, or 10 seconds for a loot box to open, and you need to open up 10 loot boxes in a row to progress within the game, just like you're just waiting around, you're like wasting your life. So depending on the type of game that you're building, speed is really important, and different chains are optimized for speed or for security or for scalability. Like they all have, there's that triangle, and then you have a new entrant like Mega ETH, which their whole thing is like, you get everything. You get security, you get speed, you get small block times. And I'm really excited to see that come online, because if it does, like a game like Pirate Nation could run on a chain like that. Whereas like our game can't really run on other chains, because like our game wouldn't run on Abstract, for example. Like the block times are too slow. Like we could put some logic on it. We can rejigger the game to live on Abstract, but the game in its current form couldn't live there. So I think the chains do matter depending on the applications. Like if you're doing DeFi, you don't care if your transaction confirms. Like if you're doing like a deposit in like a second or two, like probably for a swap it matters. Like so every chain has like pros and cons. On the proof of play services side of things, on the operating system that we're building, we don't care at all. Like we are chain agnostic. In fact, we believe our superpower is being able to work with any chain that we want to. So we're already live on Abstract. We have our stuff on our 2 chains. We're on Baronet, Testnet, Base. We're working on a Mega ETH integration right now. We can just go wherever the players are and wherever the customers are. And the reason we're able to do that really simply is because we personally have migrated our company multiple times. We started on Polygon, then went to Arbitrum Nova, then went to Proof of Play Apex, then we had to go to Apex and Boss. So every time we've had to pick up and move our infrastructure, we're not like building it from scratch. We built it in such a way that it was ready to be movable. And because we built it in that modular way, it means we can deploy it to a new chain really easily. So if someone comes to me, they're like, hey, I'm on like, new chain I've never heard of. I was like, okay, great. We can be live there tomorrow. And they're like, what do you mean tomorrow? I was like, we can be live there tomorrow. It's like, I talked to, your competitors and they're like, gave me an RFP for a month and all this. I was like, okay, great. That's them. Like, we'll be live tomorrow. Like, do you want to, like, are you ready to do this? And that's one of the superpowers of what we've been able to build.
That is so crazy to hear, because I know so many founders that I talk to who are like, yeah, we have to switch chains. Give us a month. Like, it's a month process to like figure everything out. And like, if you
Nobody
don't have
has migrated as many times as we have. Like, we joked internally, like, we should just launch a migration as a service. Like, we should just shut down the game, we're just like, we'll just migrate you. Like,
But,
charge
like-
you $1 million, we'll migrate you.
like, I think that's like, you joke, but I hear that and I see Solana when, let's rewind like 2021. Everybody's like, wow, Solana's so fast, like quick block times. If you're gonna build games, you want, really quick stuff. And then it comes out that we have Arbitrum. It's like, oh, okay, like even faster block times. And then we have now Mega ETH, who's like, hey, 1 million transactions per second. What's to say at like some point you're gonna need, have a chain that's like 100 million transactions per second, where you have all this stuff happening parallel. You should be building, I think, flexible tech or modular tech or infra, so that you're not like, oh shit, like we were so dumb in 2025 that never would have actually worked as things scaled.
I think this is the real. So one way that we are, I think, different than others and other infrastructure providers, and also game studios as well, is that a lot of infrastructure providers build their infra in a vacuum. Like, they are not a customer of it. They're building it. It's probably great, but they don't know because they don't test it, because they don't have an application for it until someone else comes along and uses it. For us, we were using our infra from day zero. Like, we were the only customer for a while, up until 2 months ago when we started to onboard new people. And so because of that, like, we know this tool in and out. We know it better than anyone. Like, we know like what's good, what's not good. But we didn't just build this thing, without having a use case for it. If you're building, like, let's say someone builds a chain that can do 10 bajillion transactions per second, that's amazing technical feat. Do people need it? And I don't know. Maybe the answer is yes. Like, maybe we'll put like all Visa transactions on it or something, and like that, you need that. But like, we purpose built our company around like a game use case. And guess what? A lot of other games look and feel like our game, even if they're not like RPGs with, with silly pirates running around an island. They have a lot of the same mechanics. They have a lot of the same needs. And so our needs are the needs of a lot of our peers. And so we're able to go to the market and be like, oh, you had that problem? Guess what? We did, and we solved it. And here's the solution. Like, oh, you're building a loot table, you're building a gotcha box. Like, we have all that stuff. Like, we had to do it for our game as well.
Yeah, and that sets you apart from so many others who they're reactionary, where you're like, hey, we built it already. I love that. I think that's so important, and I think, again, just like the fact that you guys are not only providing it, but you're touching and building, and you're having to deal with pivots, you're having to deal with migration, the pain points. It's interesting. Where it sounds like you're turning external more and more as, the days go on. On-chain heroes, as I mentioned, is one that you're providing VRF for. What is like, are there a lot more games in the pipeline? Are you turning up the heat on the external factor? Like, where does proof of play stand right now?
If if I were to show you my calendar right now, you would cry. Um, so um,
Bullish calendar. Bullish calendar.
my calendar is like people at the company are trying to schedule time with me, and they're like, Adam, like, what is this? I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm like in meetings basically all day, just selling this shit, like, VRF, like up the wazoo, and it's all inbound. We have really happy customers, and they're sharing the good word. We're seeing a lot of applications and teams like starting to build on Abstract, and we are just the number one provider on Abstract right now. And so, if you're building a game that has loot, if you're building a game that has any form of randomness associated with it, like, we are just the first stop, and everyone's just coming to us. And so it's been great. I have a spreadsheet with like warm leads. These aren't like outbound leads where I'm just like, hey, like, I'm Adam from Proof of Play, nice to meet you. Like, these are people who've come to me. It's like, I need this. It's over 100 apps right now.
Wow. And is a lot of that Abstract?
I would say it's not all Abstract now. We're live with like 6 customers now. One we're about to announce that went live last night. We're going to do a little like co-marketing with them in the next few hours. We've another one that was supposed to go live a couple days ago, but I think we'll go live either today or tomorrow. I mean, I have like a really interesting view into like what's coming in the industry generally, because we're talking to everyone.
Is there like a generalized like trend that you see coming from, since you have that insight, that you think people should be aware of or expecting?
There's definitely a major gold rush towards Abstract right now. They have either intentionally or unintentionally captured the meta for gaming in a way that I haven't seen in a while. Zai tried to be the gaming chain. Remains to be seen if they'll make it happen or not. But right now, like, the narrative is like Abstract gaming. I'm sure the XP is helping quite a bit, but I think the teams that we're talking to are really high quality. They're building good stuff. A lot of the things that are live right now are gambling, like I mentioned earlier, which is, if we're being honest, probably like the core product market fit for our industry. I think stablecoins and gambling are probably the two. Gaming is still a ways out there. I believe, our company still believes. The rest of crypto Twitter doesn't believe. I hope to one day prove them wrong. If not, they can, throw this in my face, and I've been wrong before, so I'm already dead inside from all the Web3 gaming is dead, so it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, Abstract is going to get at least a dozen more gaming apps in the next few weeks. Like, there's a lot of teams. Yeah, gold rush is probably the term, and I think the games that we're seeing range from, we just went live with Koala Coin Toss, which is literally a coin flip, to some more complicated games that have like deeper, more traditional gameplay mechanics. So right now, the simpler games are live because they're easier to build. Like, there's a lot less dev time associated with them, but there's a lot more on the horizon.
Right. I'm one area, because I think daily active users, TVL, etc. Like, we have all these crazy KPIs that I think we value the success of the company on, that maybe don't matter at the end of the day. You mentioned one earlier about Pirate Nation that was super interesting. I'm curious if we could dive into that a little bit more, which was the engagement rate of those users. For you guys, and this is again hard because you are not only providing infra and working with these different games, but you're building your own at the same time. Is that your driving KPI that you see, or you try to like helping like these companies with, or no?
So for us or for others?
For you.
Yeah, for us. So right now we have 2 things that we're trying to drive, which is engagement. And what that means is, are the people who are playing really liking it? It's better to have, that like 500 true fans than, 1 million casually invested people. And so we've made a bunch of key changes to the game recently, where we alienated like a real chunk of our user base who don't like the direction we went. And then the other chunk of our user base are like, holy cow, this is the most amazing thing. I love your PvP. It's so fun. And like, I didn't care about PvE. So we're at an interesting crossroads right now where can we serve both player bases effectively? We believe the answer is yes. We're going to continue to invest in PvP. We're going to continue to, make it a first-class product. But we also have a number of PvE changes that are coming down the line in the next week or two. I think we announced today, and if not, just announce, the next event is going to be a PvE event with some new mechanics that we're introducing. And we are also building out a roguelite mode. So if you ever play a game like Slay the Spire, just like try to get as far as you can. And so we're introducing new elements for those PvE type players. And we don't want to alienate them because we know that the game can serve both. But we went really heavy in one direction, and maybe it was a mistake. We'll see what these changes do, if they reactivate people or if they're just gone forever. Like, we never know. Like, we only try to move as quickly as possible because we have assumptions. We want to validate them. We can't validate them in a vacuum. And so it's just always about pushing product out as quickly as we can,
Right.
learning, looking at the data, see how it matches to assumptions, and course correcting. The other thing that we're doing is we're basically cutting out 50% of the game. We're just removing a bunch of features that we thought there were two reasons we add them. One, we thought they were cool. We thought they were interesting. We thought they make the game. I love when I get the thumbs up. They thought they make the game more engaging. And the second reason we added them is because they were, anti-Sybil, anti-farmer style mechanics. So you used to be able to farm gold by clicking in a menu. Then we added exploration, and then to get the exploration, you had to get on your ship and sail around and level up. We added crafting. It's a very complicated crafting tree. Our team really loves Final Fantasy, and so they're like, oh, we should introduce a really complicated Final Fantasy style tech tree. Some people in the community liked it. Other people are like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is too expensive, too hard to level up. It's too challenging. So we're looking at all that stuff. We are very comfortable killing sacred cows as a company, and we're going to start moving even faster than we moved in the past. We've been a little shy to just kill stuff that we didn't think was working because we're right there. That meme where the miner.
Never stop clicking.
Never stop clicking. Yeah, we're going to stop clicking and we're just going to turn around because we've learned enough. We're not actually on the other side of the diamonds are not one hit away. They're never away or way further.
Right.
And so we're refocusing a lot of that in the game.
I like that. I think more teams need to. I think the industry as a whole, even the users, I think a lot of people will get upset with companies for pivoting or changing course, and they're like, no, just choose something and go do it. I think that we should normalize that a little bit more. I think it's a better behavior than, hey, just do it until you run out of money or everything implodes. I at least that's how I see it as an outsider looking in. I see a lot of communities just lose their minds, but that's good. That is a bullish thing to do. It'd be all right, it didn't work. We're gonna quickly go to the next thing and see if that works. And if it works, it sticks, cool. Triple down on it. But across the board, anything that's not working, kill it.
Yep. And so there's gonna be a lot of game murder on the horizon.
Game murder. Interesting words. I think good though. Again, I have no issue with the game murder. Man, you guys are in such a interesting position because I think the bottom of the gaming market's in. I think more people are trying to come and explore new games that are out there. If you guys can continuously push out things to keep people engaged and excited, that's good. Do you guys have a token, right?
Yeah, we have the Pirate token, which is a ecosystem token for Pirate Nation. So it's used as a way to speed up timers in the game, buy gems, buy rare skins. It has, if you want to buy XP to level up your character faster, all those things are required in Pirate, and that's the primary sink for it.
Interesting. Do you guys find that having a token makes things tricky to navigate? I feel like a token is one of those things that's it's the worms out of the can. Once you do it, it's all right, shit. Now we gotta be very careful and it's a difficult thing to navigate.
So I've written about this. I wrote like a pretty long post around tokens. So the token was launched about 10 months ago at this point. And obviously there was preparation for it way in advance of 10 months to get it out the door. It is really hard to launch a token um, as a US based, you know, anti-crime team, like all with like the foundation and like all the legalities of it. Especially it was under the Biden administration when there was a lot more ambiguity.
Right.
Making sure that you're doing things the right way, that you can't be caught off sides in any way. And I would say that if we could do it all over again, we'd probably make different decisions. Um, I still believe that the tokens in gaming are a superpower, but there is a method to the madness of how you launch them and the mechanics around it that I think probably could be more optimized for the pirate token. Thankfully, there's ways to undo like any sort, like all this stuff, and there's ways to fix whatever might be wrong. Like it's not immutable, but think about the value prop of a token. So typically a game will spend a lot of money to acquire users. They're spending, like, they're raising money from VCs or using revenue capital, whatever it is. It's real money. They go to Google, they go to Facebook. They're like, take my money. They spend like $2-3 for a user, $4 for a user, and they hope that they make more money from that user than it costs them to acquire. Right? Cost of acquisition, like LTV, like very normal business, acronyms.
Right.
And what can a crypto company do? They can create a money out of thin air, and then they can use it as a carrot to acquire new customers without any like true out of pocket spend. So currently, right now in our PvP tournament, which ends on Monday, there is a $600,000 or $700,000 prize pool. I don't know what the token price is right now. It fluctuates. So there's a 10 million pirate prize pool, which is roughly $600,000-$700,000, depending on where the price is right now. That's $600,000 that that was minted, right? The foundation minted that into thin air. And it is something that has value because other people believe it has value, like any other fiat currency. And so sometimes people believe it has more value, other times people it has less value. But ultimately, it's a way for us to acquire new players, and each one of those players can acquire other players. And we raised 33 million. We pay salaries, we pay infrastructure, all that stuff. That's $600,000 that we don't have to spend from equity capital, from cash in the bank, that we can use towards driving other features that we're building at the company. And to me, despite all the Web3 gaming is dead, tokens are doing poorly, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. But the underlying thesis of technology and as a tool for cheap customer acquisition, I believe in that very deeply. I believe it is a superpower. If you can get people rallied around it even more so, like if the token goes to 10 cents or goes to 20 cents, now all of a sudden you have a $2 million prize pool. $2 million prize pool, that's eye-popping. That's like one of the largest esports tournament prize pools of all time. And now what happens? Like people rush in, they play your game. Guess what? Maybe you have a good game. Maybe maybe your game isn't like actually dog shit. And people actually want to play and they stick around. They tell their friend, hey, I'm playing this cool PvP game. There's a prize pool, but I'm not going to win because I'm, not in the top 1,000, but it's fun. So now you can generate buzz and you can generate customer acquisition and you can bring new people into your ecosystem who are spenders, who are players, who are enjoyers, whatever it is they may be, without actually going out of pocket. So, even though sometimes, this token is like an albatross because people's emotions are tied up in it, like internally and externally. The market values you and your worth based on the value of the token, even though it doesn't reflect the quality and the caliber of the work or the changes that are going in. Like your token price is down, but your company is performing at its best level ever in terms of gameplay, internal feel, vibes, whatever it may be. Like that mismatch is really problematic. But even with all that negative that comes along with it, I still believe it is like net positive for teams.
I think that is the best take I've heard on the pros and cons of a token. I think where things get really crazy is when you start thinking about like games that have been rumored to come out. Like imagine Roblox had a token. What would that open up for them? GTA 6 has been one that has been rumored very heavily to like have cryptocurrency or their own token coming out. What does that allow them to do for, customer acquisition or incentivizing, what their engagement rate? Like what's their return day to day of their player base if, hey, players can come in and make a couple $100 a day playing this game that has a token that's in high demand. I think that could be like the real like jumping point where like every gamer clicks and like, oh wait, tokens are okay. Tokens are good. Like token good.
I will see. I think that's I think that's optimistic, and I'm excited to see that play out. But the other thing about it is, if you build a game that people want to play, and like people play free to play mobile games all the time, they're buying gems, they're buying like
Right.
things to speed up the gameplay. If your unit of measure is, or your unit of currency is your game token, like, and you have a built-in sync and you have millions of players or hundreds of thousands of players, you're all of a sudden creating a ton of buy pressure on the token, right? It's this flywheel effect. But a lot of it comes down to, you can have multiple, this is what I wrote in my post, like there's multiple user personas who buy tokens. Like you have investors who are just speculating that other people want to buy it. Like you saw that with AXS.
Yeah.
The Axie run up, people were buying the token who weren't playing, like myself. I bought it at the top and I got wrecked because I'm an idiot, but that's fine, right? And then
Learning.
learning. It was early, right? It was 2021. I was just getting into it, and then you have like players. There are probably more buy pressure from a mass of players buying like $5-10 worth of your token a day than there will be from like some whales who are trying to speculate, right? I'm sure there's a way to validate. This is just like my gut feel that 1 million people buying $5 of your token a day or a week or a month has a much more meaningful impact and positive flywheel action than it does on just like a bunch of OTC deals or like liquid token funds or whatever the deals that like move token dramatically. And it's more organic and healthy because it's sustained. But at the base of that is you have to build a fun, engaging game that people are willing to spend in. And that is much easier said than done. Like we have a team of extremely experienced game devs, like some of the best to ever do it. And we are still working our way through it. Like games take time. The space is a really short goldfish attention span. Even our most loyal like community members who've been with us for 2 years, like some of them understand it, some of them are getting impatient, and I understand it. It is hard to hold on to something and to wait. Like, how do you think we feel? We're building the thing. Other people are just hanging around. Like they're just playing a game. Like we're in meetings and we're strategizing and we're thinking like, should we go here or here? Like we always have the best intentions at heart. And it doesn't mean we're always going to make the right decisions, but we're always going to try our best to build the best possible product. And I don't think we've gotten there yet. I do think we've gotten there on the infrastructure side. I think our infrastructure is best in class. And I say some outrageous things when I'm in like sales calls. and like, honestly, I believe all of them. Like, I don't think any of them are bullshit. The game still has more work to be done, and the team knows that. And I'm really, really excited about where we're going with it.
I can't wait. I mean, you have me fired up. I didn't know about the prize pool that you guys have going on that ends on Monday. Should have known about that. I would have.
See, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, come on, Adam. What is going on here, man?
It's not too late. Hey, whoever's watching this, I don't know how many of you are. You can play for free. You can get in. You can play. You get a ship. You get a pirate. You can play the game. You're going to get wrecked. But then if you like it, you'll learn how to get better. There's YouTube videos. Our community is amazing. They'd love to help you. Like the game is actually fun. It's like a real PvP game that is enjoyable. And there's a huge ass prize pool. Like what more do you want?
600K on the line. And you can do it for free. I think that's like
you can play for free.
My initial, it took me, it was like 30, 45 minutes into like doing some like real hard research. I always thought you had to go buy a pirate to play the game. That is not the truth though.
Yeah, and for better or for worse, the Founders Pirates are not that expensive anymore. There was a point where they were like ETH was 4K and they're like 1.5 ETH. Those are the good old days. So we are no longer saying, hey, buy a $5,000 JPEG to play the game. I think they're roughly around like 450, 500, which is still like,
Yep.
I'm not
It's still
going
a lot,
it's
but
like still the price of a PS2
yeah.
or sorry, PS4 or 5, whatever number we're up to now. Like you can see how well versed I am. But you can just play for free. As long as you have an email address, you're good to go. You don't even need a wallet. And
better.
And we're on mobile for Founders Card holders. So that's like the one alpha. Like if you're a Founders Card holders, you get access to the alpha.
Do you guys have anything that's coming up with Pirate Nation that's like big, like time horizon things that people should be paying attention for?
Yeah, so we have this new PvE event coming up on Monday. I think that's going to hit really hard. I'm excited about it. We have like a new roguelike mode coming out soon that I'm really excited about for people who just want to like endlessly play PvE, like test out different decks. We're, as I mentioned, cutting a bunch of like the cruft from the game. So we're going to just like streamline the game down. And we're doing that for a couple reasons. One, we're seeing like low engagement on a lot of those features. And secondly, to be mobile ready, we just need to make the game simpler. And I'm going to like load up the menu here quickly, the game here on my phone. There's just like too many things in the sidebar. And so we just need to like remove things from the sidebar.
Too much attention getting fragmented is not helpful for really getting that like boom, like I am so locked into this one thing, or the whole user base is in this one area.
So yeah, we just need to cut down to go faster.
Love that. And the team coming from like Farmville and Epic, I think you guys have some people from Epic Game. You have all these people around. They know how to make the best mechanisms. They know how to make
Riot and Scopely, like all the name brands. And I feel like I'm going to kind of throw shade here a little bit for a second, but I remember like 2021, 2022, when all these like hot games were coming out, they'd put the logos on their website. It's like, these people worked at all these companies. And it's like, yes, great. But those people were like low level,
the janitor.
Like, yeah, exactly. They're like a level above janitor. And the people at our team, I'm planning to write something about this today. Like we hired like mostly old people. And so like our team is just a bunch of veterans. And it's kind of an interesting approach for a startup. Like startups are kind of, if you listen to like Peter Thiel, he says like startups are built off the backs of the youth. I was one of those youths. Like I built, startups when I was like 21, 22, 23, when I had like nothing going on in my life other than like, I'm going to dedicate everything to the job. And so this is an interesting experiment in startups. Like, can you build a startup with a bunch of exclusively veteran developers and builders? So that's what I'm going to like put this post out later today about, or maybe tomorrow. But it's an interesting experiment, like how to construct a startup. But yeah, the team, all I have to say is like the team is stacked. I think more than 50% of the team on the engineering team were former CTOs or CTO or head of engineerings.
Oh, wow.
More than half the team are former founders. Like everyone is just like very good at what they do.
You need that. And I think that's something that's overlooked. What is your background actually?
Here, there you go.
Love it. I love it. Is one of the best looking games that I've seen.
It's beautiful. Our team is incredible.
Yeah, you would never know that this has anything to do with crypto or Web3.
That's correct.
Yes, which I love.
That's the whole point. The gaming mullet. Sorry, what was your question?
I was just curious because you talked a lot about like the team. Like, what is your? I know you were one of the co-founder or on the founding team at Cash App, but what is your like technical background?
Yeah, I studied international relations with a focus on politics, culture, and identity in the Middle East. So obviously that qualifies me for everything that I've done since that degree. My background is just like startup guy. I've just been 0 to 1 dozens of times at this point. When I was at Square, the company was about 100 people. And my job there was I was working on risk and fraud. Like, how do you make sure that bad guys don't capture, like take money from you? And what people don't realize about Square is that because it's so commonplace now, the key innovation at Square was onboarding risk and fraud. So let me explain that for a second. Before Square started, if you wanted to be a merchant processor, so you wanted to accept credit cards, it was about a 30 to 45 day process. There was an in-person interview. You'd like show your passport. They would decline you if you were in certain industries. It was really complicated. People don't realize this. I'm talking about 2010. I'm not talking like 1995.
Okay.
Wow. And that's why you didn't see merchants at farmers markets accepting credit cards. That's why you didn't see contractors accepting credit cards or art dealers, because there was high chargeback risk or they couldn't get the account. It just like wasn't an option for them. There was also no mobile option. So what did we do? We figured out, how can we onboard people in 1 minute into Square and have them transacting immediately? So that sounds easy, but what it's really doing is you're opening the door wide for bad actors to come in and like do nefarious things. And we can spend 2 hours talking about risk and fraud and payments, but I'm not going to bore you with that right now. And so what do we have to do is we have to figure out, okay, we let everyone through the door. We like 99% acceptance rate. And then how do we catch the bad activity once they're through the door? That was the key innovation. And at the time, like Verifone launched a product, PayPal launched a product, there were all these competitors. Verifone launched a product, and we're like, these are massive competitors. They're going to smoke us. We're done. We're cooked. Like, there's no way we can compete. Not a single one of them remained. They lasted a year or two. And the reason, they couldn't get their risk and fraud under control. They didn't know how to onboard 99% of people and not lose money. So you have this trade-off when you're thinking about growth. It's, I can let everyone in and be, very permissive, but there's like concern associated with that. You let the bad guys into, or I could be really, really tight, and not let any bad guys through the door, but then my growth is slowed. So we made the first choice. So I did that, and no one had ever done that before. And so we were constantly innovating. And then every time Square launched a new product line, whether it was gift cards, Canada, Japan, we were the first credit cards and taxis in New York City. A bunch of other failed products. Like I launched a Bitcoin integration in 2013 on a marketplace, like you could pay with Bitcoin.
Wow.
Anytime we did a new product, like I was put on the team. There were two of us. There was like me and my coworker, and we would just get split up on new product. And they would just like throw us on new product launch. Like, Adam, like go help this team. And so I was regularly working from a 0 to 1 on all these different products. And the most successful one that I worked on, was the Cash App. So I joined the Cash App team at day 0, and I helped design the onboarding, and I helped design all the early payment flows. And I was responsible to make sure that when we were moving money via email, it used to be an email money moving tool, that no one was going to lose money. And like, how do we do that? Like, what are the systems we would put in place? And then I also ran Square Loans. It was called Square Capital at the time. And I grew that thing like 20x under like when I was running it.
Wow.
And so my background is just like, take a thing that doesn't have it's like very ambiguous. It's like, well, there's a thing we want to do, and like figure out how to make it happen. And I've done that a number of times in my career. After I left Square, I was recruited by a private equity firm, and I helped turn around this business that was doing like boring finance stuff. And then I also started a bone broth company that I ran for 5.5 years, that I was like direct to consumer. And I also had like wholesale customers and chef customers. And then I was at Better Mortgage, where I was head of growth and partnerships on the product side. It was like, my career has basically been like figuring out how to solve problems that hadn't been previously solved, and then how to grow and scale them. And so I like the 0 to 1 phase. I think it's exciting, like being a proof of play. Like, no one's built what we're building right now, and maybe no one should build it. Like, I'm confident enough to know that everything that I do is not going to succeed, but I know that I'm going to make the best possible decisions towards getting to a successful outcome. And I really believe in what we're doing right now, because I've seen this phase many times before. Like, it's like the step right before like the inflection point.
Right. You've seen a lot. You've been through a lot.
I've seen a lot. Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff.
I know we have some builders watching, because I've gotten a text or two here as you went on this rant about your history. They're curious, as somebody building in Web3, what your biggest piece of advice to them is for getting from an idea to growth right now.
From an idea to growth. So it really depends on how you're set up. Like, we as a well-funded startup is going to be very different from like a scrappy bootstrapped business. But I think the core principle is, how do you validate an idea really quickly and fail fast? So how do you find out if what you're doing is worth building? Like, what does that test look like? Is it talking to customers? There's something called a broken windows or painted windows test, where you put up ads for a product that doesn't exist and you see how many people click on it. it's talking to a bunch of people. It's building a prototype of it. Maybe you vibe code it with Cursor or Windsurf, and then you put it in the hands of a couple people and see what their engagement looks like. But the most important thing that I learned at Square is starting small. It's don't try to move quickly when you're in the early days, because you will trip over your feet. So I'm like part of an alpha launch for a company called Cerebro. Like they're building like a better dashboard tool, and there's 100 people in a Telegram chat that are using this tool and giving feedback to Maverick, who's like running the company. And he's not trying to grow it. He's trying to make sure the product is as strong as possible. He's checking the engagement metrics. He's seeing if people are using it or not, the returns, how much they care. And when he feels like he has the right, whatever it feels like to him, then he'll open it up. But right now it's been, 4 or 5 months that it's just been 100 people. So you have to feel confident living in that small time. Like don't try to run before you walk. Some entrepreneurs are like more aggressive. They're like, just fucking go, just like, go. And that advice is also fine. It really depends on you. Like I learned, start small, grow, right? Phased rollouts, make sure things are working, go to a larger cohort, then like blow it up. But if you have, a small budget and you're like, I'm going to put, $1,000 on ads or $50,000, whatever it may be for your relative size, and your product sucks, you have a leaky bucket. You're just wasting money. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm not going to put money into Pirate Nation right now. Not that it's my call anyway. I'm saying it's like I'm my call. It's like, so like the game team is not going to throw like $1 million into customer acquisition on Google and Facebook for Pirate Nation, because our D1 and D7 retention aren't as good as we need them to be. So what does that mean? We have to fix D1 and D7. The game is 2.5 years old. In crypto, we're basically dinosaurs. Like we don't care. Like we need to build the best possible thing. And when we build the best possible thing, the world will know about it, and not before. And our time horizon may or may not overlap with the time horizon of the traders or some community members, or like what the industry expects from us. But we are not trying to build a Web3 company. We're trying to build a company that uses Web3 mechanics, that uses the technology of the space, that can live equally with both like your mom and your cousin and like, DGen 69 420 with a Melody picture. Like, and we want them to live in perfect harmony. And so we're not going to always be able to please the latter group, but they're not going to be the thing that makes the company big. It's going to be the 10 million people, not the 10,000 people.
Yeah.
You need to constantly be reminded of the bigger picture. And it doesn't mean that we don't care about the 10,000 or the 20,000. They're super important, and they're going to be able to sell their bags to the millions, but not if we rush it, and not if we don't get to the point where D1, D7, D30 retention, like the metrics that we're tracking, are viable.
Yeah. The retention there is, I think, a big one that people overlook. You can have a bunch of users, but your churn matters significantly.
Yeah. If I put in $100, if I buy a user for $3 and they spend no money and they churn at 60% rate or whatever the number may be, I'm just throwing money out the window. And just for vanity metrics, like just so I can say like DAU growth is up, like that doesn't serve me.
I think DAU is probably one of the LARPiest metrics that projects post about. I don't think that's a hot take. Maybe it is, but I strongly believe that whenever I'm pitched a deck, an investment deck, and they're like, "Oh, we have this many daily active users," I'm like, I could give less of a fuck about that. There's a million other things I have questions on.
Yeah. So, sometimes it's hard to be principled, and it's hard to make decisions that are hard to understand for others. And we're not always going to move at the pace that people want. All I can say is that as far as I can tell, there's no team that's moving faster than us. We're working on really complicated technology problems, really complicated game design problems. And I have never been more excited to be working at Proof of Play. And hopefully the market soon realizes that. That's all I can say.
I love it. Adam, put it on a masterclass today for, I think, founding teams, gaming, infra, everything. Everything we've talked about has been extremely helpful for me, even as somebody navigating the space. I feel like we can't conclude our talk though without the most important topic, which is pizza. You, you are a self-proclaimed pizza maxi. And I know you just got back from Dubai and you were having a bunch of great food out there. I gotta hear, what is your we have a pizza update on your new favorite place to eat? What's going on in the pizza world?
Yeah. I mean, okay, here's actually some actual alpha. So the best pizza place in New York, I tweeted about it in February. The market is starting to catch on now. It was early adopter. It's a place called Ceres, Ceres. I went there for lunch yesterday with my wife. Still amazing. The pizza there is phenomenal. It's 211 Madison Park chefs, which is like a 3 Michelin star restaurant in New York, if you're not familiar with that restaurant name. And they left to start a pizzeria, and it's just every ingredient is perfect. It's not cheap, but everything that they put on the pizza is like perfect. Like the cheese is sourced from the small town in Italy, and there's 3 dough. Like, like everything is like the most absurd version of what it could be. Dave Portnoy went there a couple days ago, and he to do his he's living my dream life, not the like the pizza side of his life. It's not the Barstool Sports side. Like the fact that he gets to be a professional pizza influencer and like make some money on it. It's like pretty much a dream. Anyway, so he went there and he rated it. His rating is not yet live and it's not out in public yet, but I happen to know what it is because I was there talking to the guys yesterday, and all I can say is that it's the highest rating he's ever given. Which means that it's going to blow up as soon as the rating drops.
So I'm going to New York on Monday. I am praying that it does not drop before Monday.
It is not open on Mondays and Tuesdays.
So I got to go Sunday.
You got to go Sunday.
This is actually big alpha because I will change my trip to go Sunday to try this pizza now.
Yeah, it's really good. So I think it's the best in the city right now. But
wow.
So
there you go. Probably the most alpha that you've done in this entire chat today here is Ceres. Yeah. Yeah. New York. Make sure you go try it. Dude, thank you so much for coming on and chatting. If there's anything else that we haven't talked on, feel free to plug it here. But I just personally want to let people know, like, I love what you guys are doing. I think if you're building a game right now, you have to go talk to Proof of Play, figure out how it could be a small piece, it could be a massive piece of what you're building on the game side. I think you guys can address that. And if you're just a participant in the space looking to try something new and you haven't tried Pirate Nation, obviously there's a giant prize pool. All you need is an email. Go check it out. Are we missing anything, Adam?
No, you nailed it. You're hired.
There you go.
You're hired. Yeah, and if you and honestly, like, my DMs are open. You never know where like a friendship can come from or a business relationship. So feel free to just DM me. I'll respond to most of them unless they're like, yo, give me Ethos invite. Like those I don't respond to.
They're the worst.
They're the worst. But yeah, I respond to most of my DMs. So like, feel free to hit me up if you want to talk about product management, Web3, building, want to be a customer. Like, I'm around.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Guys, if you aren't also following Adam, his @ is @Fern, FERN. Don't be a stranger to him. And Adam, thank you once again for hopping on. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks for hosting me. This was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
And thanks everybody for tuning into this episode. We'll also catch you on the next one. Cheers.